Hello everyone, David Kessler here and welcome back to the studio. Today I'm going to begin another multi-phase painting demonstration project for you. I did one before, it was well received. I've had requests to do another one, so I'm going to do that for you. We're probably going to have about 6 different parts. I'm going to show you every single thing I do in my personal painting process from beginning to end, from the very first decisions to signing my name at the end. You're going to see the whole thing right here. Now when I begin a painting, the first thing I do is determine what my color combination is going to be. And generally speaking, I use the color wheel as a basis for all of my color making decisions. And I do that because this is a way to get color harmony into your paintings. It's been used for about 300 years. So I think it has a pretty good track record for helping artists to provide harmonious colors for their paintings. Now, for this painting process, I'm going to use complementary color combination. Now, complementary is, you know, if you're an artist, is using 2 colors directly across from each other on the color wheel. So I'm going to be using a green and red, and I always choose, based on my color system, for complementary colors, a dominant color and then an accent color. The dominant color, you would say, okay, it's going to be a green painting. The overall feel and look and chromatic dominance of the painting is going to be green. I'm going to use red as my accent color, primarily to accent my centers of interest. All right, that's what's great about complementary colors, is that you can use a dominant color and an accent color. I use the accent color specifically for the center of interest to make it pop against its complement. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. Now, for those of you that don't know, this is my simple color system color wheel. It's a standard 12 color wheel designed originally by Sir Isaac Newton. But I have a color system that I use to apply the colors to the paintings, dominant and accent color. If we were doing a triadic color, it would be a dominant, non-dominant, and accent color, which is what we did in the previous multi-phase painting demonstration. All right. So if you like these, you know, I'll have a link to this in the notes that you can go to my website and purchase one if you would like to do that. All right. Now, I always get questions about what materials are you using, you know, what kind of paint, what kind of brushes, do you use mediums and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to talk about that just for a couple of minutes. Now the paper I'm painting on today is Fabriano Artistico watercolor paper, 300 pound, and it's coated with a pretty thick coat of gesso. And you can see a little bit of the texturing of the gesso on the paper. The reason I seal the paper with the gesso is because I do the same thing on all the canvases that I paint on. So when I do it on the paper, number one, it seals the paper so that the paint sits on top of the gesso. And number two, so that the surface of the paper I paint on acts exactly the same as the surface of a canvas that I use here in the studio. Okay, I just have it taped to this plastic core board, which I take with me all over the country when I travel to workshops to paint on. I use it here in the studio too. I just screw it to these wood strips and it makes a nice easy way to paint, gives me a good surface to paint on. So I used 3 brands of paint: Golden, Utrecht, and Novacolor. Okay, Utrecht and Golden are both heavy body acrylic paints. Novacolor is more of a sort of pourable or soft body acrylic paint. All are professional quality. That's all I use, is professional quality products. Okay, so I'll use, probably in today's painting, I'll use all 3 of those brands. You know, I mix them together. I don't use any mediums, right? No extenders, no open acrylics, none of that stuff. You'll see me use a bottle spraying a water on there to help move the paint more easily across the surface. I typically don't like to use wet brushes when I paint, so I'll use the spray bottle as I paint to help me move the paint, the stiff, thick, heavy body acrylic paint, across the surface a little bit easier. Now with regard to brushes, I use mainly a natural bristle brushes, right? From 2 inches, 2.5 inches, and 3 inches. That's what I use, right? So this is a 2.5 inch brush, natural bristle. I just personally prefer that. You may like something more like a synthetic bristle brush. I use these mostly at my centers of interest because they have a harder edge, so they're easier to carve, you know, a hard edge into it. This is a little bit rougher edge, so that's why I like this better. Good for blending. This one not as good for blending for me. You may have a different opinion. That's fine. This is personal preference developed over the last, you know, 20 some years of painting. You'll also see me using a little sgraffito, which is you know, going back in and making marks back into the paint. And all I use for that is this old paintbrush that I cut the handle off at an angle, and it's got, you know, layers and layers, probably 12 years, 10 or 12 years worth of, you know, paint on it. So you'll see me use that as well. Okay. All right. So we've chosen our color combination. The next thing we're going to do is going to go to the palette, and you're going to see me mix the colors for the painting. All right. See you on the next video. Thanks.